Got the mic on mute. Haha. April 5th due, July 5th due. So welcome to everybody. I did set up a stream. I'm trying to find the chat so I can see it on Restream here. I haven't been on here for so long that I have almost forgotten how to navigate this Restream. This one. So professional. Nope, it's not that one. Sorry about this. Here. It's not that one. Can't even see properly on this down camera. Okay, so bear with me if anybody's there. So, okay, so delete. Let's see, this might still be savable. Excuse me, runny nose. This might still be savable. If I just go to YouTube. Oh, runny nose. I need to stop gardening so much. Well, no, I don't. So I'm going live. No, I don't know where I'm going live to. Damn it. Ha, found you. Okay, so it says I'm live. So if I go to my channel, I should be able to see if anyone's there. If I turn Show chat, hide me, and boom, everybody's there. COVID, Peter says. No, well, I haven't been well actually, but that's something I'm going to talk about tonight. Hey everybody, welcome to the professional setup of Jennifer Roberts. Who just presses many buttons and wishes and hopes. Hey Klaatu, 09 Klaatu, Jill, hey my baby girl, Peekaboo Peter, hey James Bright, much love to you. Long time no see, maximum favor, thank you James Bright, and to you as well, my brother. I appreciate you all being here and putting up with probably my mumblings of how the fuck I get this thing working again. Welcome. Lucky Stone, hey brother. Hey. So, Gloria, hey to you, sweet pea. Let's do this. Boom, says James. So, CERN. Yikes. They've been turning that baby up for 5 or 6 days, I've felt, incrementally. I feel like they're always rumbling on. But for me, I want to talk about what's just been coming through for me and what I've been feeling coming down the line. There is a lot of sinusy issues. Without illness though, there are a lot of nosebleeds I've been noticing for people who don't usually have nosebleeds. A lot of headachy issues, pain up the neck, a feeling of floatiness or heaviness. There seems to be dips, roller coasters over the last 5 days. I've got a temperature that will not go down. Again, without real poorliness, and I've heard just today that a few other people, the universe made sure I knew about that, regarding just hearing conversation that this temperature that is staying up there without being able to be managed. It feels like a lot of us are picking up on these energies. We can't help it. We are electromagnetic beings. They are manipulating a huge electromagnetic field. I feel at different areas of this landmass that we live on. So let's go into the logo. I saw a lot of people, straight jumping on the Satanism thing, which is a psyop for the most part, to make the real stuff be hidden behind the curtain. Under the guise of organized religion, which is also good and made of light. This is where I saw a lot of people, because it had like the 666, which could be 999. And immediately for me, Tesla's 369 came to mind. If you know the magic of 369, then you unlock the keys to the universe. And by doing the 6s that are on the side and upside down that look like the 9, it's basically showing that if you multiply 3 and 6 and 9, you'll always get to 18 then equals 9. 1 plus 8 equals 9. And so it means that it's the combination of all of that. Now, I've heard a lot of them talking just off cuff, in the background this afternoon, of 3 years. They're turning it up 3 times more than last time. They are going to make this go on till 2025, 3 years. So it's all in the 3, which is multiplied by to the 9. Now the 9 being, as Manly P. Hall put it, the realm of all possibilities, dark matter itself, the dark woman manifest, i.e. those things that can be drawn from that dark matter into a material force or a spiritual force, a creative force that is part of the magic of 3, 6, and 9. Hey, Air Dragon. So this is where that logo where everybody jumps on, 666, it's much deeper than that. It's much more than that, and it opens up much more opportunity and many more windows for them to interfere in the dark woman manifest. Simultaneously, I felt these energies regarding misogyny, regarding the very negative patriarchal energy we have within the systems that we live under, very much so in the so-called movement, that it is full of planted misogyny. And that is, you know, that on simultaneously on a level, they've been stripping away the concept of a womb, and, you know, basically anybody can have a womb, even if it's imaginary. And so they're really twisting the dark woman manifest, that is the physical womb in the woman, and simultaneously working on exploring the dark wombs of the universe in order to unlock this dark matter. And so within this dark matter is creation itself. They are opening up doors and portals. It's like putting an energetic key and forcing it in a lock, bending time and space. I really do feel that, you know, the Mandela effect, that is going to be in full force. And this is where quite a while ago I was telling people about the need of a time shift, a forced time shift, a planned time shift, a paradigm shift, in that, so write things down. Write down things that you just have an urge to write down, so that you can recall them when you start to question yourself of, did it really used to be called that? Or did I really say that? Or did I really meet that person? Were we friends? Or am I just making that up? You can refer back to your writings in order to get a grip on the fact that some time shift has happened. We've entered into another dimension, or we're going to keep stepping in and out of dimensions, like doors opening and shutting. With this shift into this 369 theory that I'm really feeling, you can feel that, you know, the jumps are happening, you know, time slips, a lot of lethargy, a lot of energy, a lot of lethargy, a lot of energy. And because there is so much force being put out by this thing, I really did see a lot of very strange water activity, rising water lines, falling water lines, you know, as if the water is absolutely responding to the electromagnetic fields being supercharged and being bending this force, this manipulating energy itself, which is what the, oh beloved, hello, which is what they are doing for the next 3 years, times up by 3 times the power. You know, that 369, the opening the doors and possibilities of the universe. With this shift, this has all been a big play, as it feels like a lot of the dark matter within people's physical bodies, both that are already there and that have been maybe put in there, they're testing out in real time what data can be received back and forth. We will find that this is going to trigger a lot of people into violent states, odd states. It does feel like, unfortunately, people will be triggered into things like shootings, harm of children, you know. And as crazy as this sounds, but it happened the last time they set this up, people were seeing weird animals that didn't really belong here, that as if they just, and they looked like they knew they didn't belong here. And so there are things jumping in and out. The problem with that is that there is a lot of negativity on both sides, this movement, or so-called, and the government alike, on both sides, just like both sides of politics, both sides of war, same side. There is a lot of negativity within these people that can very easily be triggered by the manipulation of their own black holes, the things that they have hidden in the dark corners of self. It's like, you know, it's happening. And so this real data transmission for them, it feels very exciting for them. It really is a step up in the plan of having an augmented reality really by using, as I said a while ago, AI at its finest will not be this robot that we've been seeing. Yes, there'll be that, but the most valuable AI will be the already built human body augmented to be AI body. That will be the most prevalent and the most valuable. And that is why data is and has been for a long time, for those that have been in the know, the most powerful and most expensive, what's not the word, more lust after commodity for a long time, for those that have been able to pay for it, those that can pay the algorithms to manipulate certain data, to draw out certain reactions in people by triggering emotions and reactions by putting out certain adverts. We're going to see that sort of fast forward in the scale that it can do it, and in the quickness that it can respond to the feel of the audience in order to trigger and draw out certain reactions. I'm doing a live, unless you want to say hello. I can't. The cat's being attacked. We'll go and help her then. The cat's being attacked by another cat, so he comes and tells me rather than going and sorting it out. She wakes them up because these cats are bullying her and she screams, bless her heart. I'm going to get a water gun. So data is the most important and worthy commodity to these people right now. This is a scalable thing that they can really, scale up in real time so quickly. Why are they doing this? Somebody has said, who was that? Yeah, and so, but the scale, Peter, I've been feeling that the scale actually of the dark matter that is within us is actually maybe they found easier to scale force-wise, to meet force with force, because if they can condense that energy down, and it's going into a very condensed space and pulling out data, which is why they're colliding these particles in the first place, to see what data, what information is making them up in the first place. They want to break it in order to be able to make it. That's how it feels to me. And so that real-time data coming back is very, very valuable to them. Extremely. It feels like they are so excited right now. It's like this huge big ritualistic ceremony where they're getting this not just energetic, I'll just shut that door again, not just energetic feedback, but not just energetic feedback, but so professional tonight, but this physical feedback, this biometric measurement feedback, which is giving them so much information, isn't it? Why are they, Jim says, but why are they doing this so evil? Because these people who are bankrolling, that they've used most of the funds that came from COVID, most of the buried money, the billions that were spent on PPE, that now they say they're going to burn, so there's no evidence of at all. So they say that they're going to, there's children, what's happened? I'm really 2 minutes, everybody. I'm just going to help Theodore for 1 second or 2 seconds. Wow. Oh, wow. These kids, they all woke up hearing the cat scream. He's had a little accident. He's spilled his juice, and then William decided to let me know the cat woke me up screaming. Oh, so where were we? So yeah, they want to break through. They want to like kids, but these are psychopathic kids and sociopathic kids that have gone mad because we've given them far too much power for so long. They are the people that are bankrolling this. And a lot of the COVID period was a way to disappear a hell of a lot of money for projects like this. You know, it created so many more billionaires that have ever been created in 1 year, ever before since financial history. In that time, those people can then be petitioned to funnel money into what is going to be one of the most valuable sources of data. Yes, they're saying they'll share that data, but they're sharing it with key people, and how much of it are they really sharing? And so they're really trying to search and pillage the dark woman manifest of dark matter with that 369 theory, being able to use the 9, the realm of all possibilities, the number that can be multiplied so easily. It's that they want to know how to create things for themselves that way. They want to be able to be in power of, they've gone so crazy. They want and are driven to be just like the people that were behind Hitler, pushing Hitler on. They want to be the ones that know how to take something apart in order to be able to create it themselves, in order to own it themselves, control it themselves. The whole space thing with Trump and Elon, and many of the others, the Space Force, all of that money that went into that, like straight away, even though people couldn't afford to eat in America and in the UK, the amount of money that went into things like that, this was part of it. This is the space exploration. When they're talking about dark matter and being able to access that dark matter just in the outer fields around us through electromagnetic fields that go out like waves, then they're telling you very much so that space exploration is in extra territory, not necessarily up, maybe down more than up. In the sea, in the waters, it feels like there's a lot of disturbance in the waters. I've always seen different worlds through caverns under the sea in my remote viewing. I do realize there are other seas connecting, like veins, like in this torus field that we're in. So that is the exploration that I feel they're doing, and they just can't help but want to be in control and power over something that they're not already in control and power over, you know. Mingle amongst yourselves, Peter says. Yeah, it's a good job you know me. Yeah, cats are trouble lucky. Our cat, she's so cool. She's got this cat attitude, but she's really affectionate, and she's very small. And we got her the operation after she got caught and was pregnant, so she had the litter, and then we got the operation as soon as we could, thinking that would really stop the attacks, because it often does. But these tomcats around here, they walk around like gangsters, and I don't know what they're feeding them, because they're like stinky. They're walking like they've got 2 sheep under their arm, like a big farmer, you know, like this. And they're like so slowly saunter across the road, you know, when you're driving, as if to say, yeah, bitch, wait. So they've got a lot of attitude, the cats around here, even for cats. And they've continued to attack her. So if there's a window open past like 6-7 o'clock PM and she's managed to sneak out, which she's very good at, you can guarantee we're going to hear her screaming at the door. we've got one of us has got to run to get her back in, because she is smaller, and I do worry that she could get hurt. She never has gotten hurt yet, so she's a good mover at least. But yeah, they're badass cats. It is like intermission at one of those plays. Mummy-ish-in. So the dark matter is where they're at, the piercing through the veil of understanding regarding what makes up that dark matter and what possibly is dwelling within it. More importantly, what can be manipulated out of it. I do feel a lot of that talk about the exploration of dark matter is to do with the very dark matter within people's bodies, particularly dark matter that might have been specially introduced over the last 2 years. The fact that they're going to be running this at this speed off and on for the next 3 years is very important. We are going to see so many psyopses. We're going to see so many funnels of money opening up that really we should be worldwide by now, having a hissy fit over and really, you know, letting Parliament and other governments know exactly what's up, in that, you know, they're going to be using excuses, just like the ridiculous excuse of the PPE, which Boris says now he's going to burn, even though PPE doesn't have a going off date for the most part, so it could be kept for this terribly strapped NHS. But never mind, they love to make fun of us. So the fact that they can claim billions back in taxpayer money of businesses that never sold PPE before, they were set up days before the PPE contract went live, and it turns out to be friends of Boris's or Priti Patel's, and they've been given millions just like that for PPE that actually never did arrive, or very little of it arrived. And they've made a lot of money. So there's been a lot of these transactions that should have been so obvious and so laughable throughout the last 2 years, but of course, for the most part, for a lot of people, they weren't. And so it really is going to get infuriating over the next 3 years. And this is where it really is important to take your sovereignty in your own right in order to stay balanced as much as possible, recalibrate and rebalance as much as possible within self, in order to not get frustrated or not get downtrodden by the movie-like scenes that you're going to feel like you're in, when a lot of people still just say, okay, Boris, you know, I can't feed myself, I can't heat the home, but you know, it's for COVID. It's okay, Boris. You really are going to get infuriated over people like that. And you're going to start to feel like, this is unreal. It's a gaslighting experience for sure. Those of us that have been through a very healing and expansive journey regarding being in contact with narcissism, extreme narcissism, actually we're going to bode well over the next 3 years, because we're going to call upon a lot of those lessons and a lot of that strength that we've learned to channel that frustration or that energy that really does need to be transmuted quickly, understood, taken apart and transmuted. Just like waste is expelled from the body, the quicker you've gotten at doing that over these last 2 years, the better you're going to go over the next 3 years, for sure. So I'll get to that, James. That's a really good question. Yeah, beloved, at least I'm real. So, hi, Angelo. Angelo. I always say Angelo, but I like Angelo. Gloria, hey to you. I think I said hello before. So, well, yeah, Peter, that you know me, I'm not afraid of a little bit of a nice righteous anger. Come on. I think there's a lack of it, to be quite frank. because it would take that kind of force to shift some of the energies that we've been living under for so long, let's face it. And so yeah, righteous anger in the right direction, channeled the right way. I think with anger, it is a very valuable source that is really downplayed, and because it's just not used well, and it's not used with wisdom. But anger at the right kind of opposing force, as long as you are able and you have learned to channel anger, because it's a little bit like breathing fire, isn't it? Like when I blow the fire, it's you know, you have the petroleum in your mouth, and you're ready to blow the fire, and sometimes you can suck that flame back in. And obviously practicing of the heat in the fire, you can feel it and it's touching the sides of your mouth, and there's techniques of making it not burn so much, or making it not you know, kill you, you know. So there's ways of transmuting that fire, and the better you can get at that, the better you go into board in directing your fire, your righteous anger, in the right direction, in the right way, without it burning you. And we've been too weak in the area of allowing righteous anger to be frowned upon. And so all of these things that would have been met properly with righteous anger at the right time, we've been very henpecked by society of, oh, you know, you can't say too much about that, or you can't say that, it might be they or she or he, or we don't know what it might be from minute to minute. You can't say anything really, just say hi, bye, that's it, you know. So we've been henpecked into not using anger that way. And that's it, beloved. There's no one answer for anybody, because it is, everybody is at their own different levels of awareness of self. And that is the exploration of dark matter. When James said, what can we do? I want to do something. I think it was you, James. It really is. And beloveds answered you the same way I would answer you. The best thing is to be able to learn that, let's say, they are using this machinery, and they are colliding some of the smallest particles that can be then scaled up to a size through a certain force. So with some of the smallest particles being collided in some of these experiments that are going to take place over the next 3 years, they can create a wave of electromagnetic frequency going through a mass area, or they can direct that frequency into a directed spot, or maybe a directed someone or someone's of a certain creed, you know, and to trigger a response. Now, if they can do that, and they know the importance of a tiny little particle just used the right way at the right force, then James, the answer is exactly the same for you. And that is often the case. The answer mirrors, it's just the intent of how it is used. And so you actually really delve in deep and getting serious about this exploration of self, and knowing that that ultimately is the be all and end all of your creative story of it being here in this realm at this moment. And the fact that you get comfortable with knowing that that is enough, that actually if enough people, if everybody in the spiritual community that claims to be in the spiritual community was using as much of their creative saga that they are living right now in this lifetime to truly explore self, yes, have ups and downs, because how else are you going to explore self if you don't have those layers of anger, love, bliss, lust, all of those feelings to transmute and look at, and the reasonings as to what your foundations are of how you're feeling regarding all of those different layers. Then if everybody, even just numbers wise in the spiritual community, outside of the organized religious community, let's even cut them out for now, that would be enough to create such a shift that we could literally consciously shift timelines. We could shift into another dimension, another slice of the loaf of bread. all of these different dimensions being like the slices on in a loaf of bread. And so we could actually disappear a certain dimension, you know, by that conscious shift. And that shows us also that how many people aren't quite serious. They like to say what they say, but in the true exploration of self, they actually find it unimportant. They find it, boring, or they find it too difficult. And it really is one of the most rewarding and difficult journeys any creative source that is in this realm in this lifetime can do, to explore the dark womb unmanifest. A lot of us are unconsciously afraid of success. A lot of us have chains within our dark matter that are hidden, that chain us down, that make us frightened of our potentials. Why? Because maybe we haven't learned to channel our emotions yet. Maybe we haven't learned that actually we, like our pulse, can control, and like our breath work can control our emotions and our responses and our reactivity to certain prompts. That's where, you know, that's what you can do. I hope that answers. And yeah, that's right, beloved. That's the whole crucifixion story, isn't it? It's partly, partly it's twisted knowledge, partly it's elements being wrapped up in characters that are really hard for anybody to attain. But part of that also is this fear control matrix that is put over us within organized religion. Of like, literally, we'll nail you to the cross. And we're seeing that in real time in the daily lives of people. They're in this movement that is being completely hijacked, like everything else, like Black Lives Matter, like Me Too, completely planned and hijacked. People already in place, ready to cream money off it, cream followers off it, and they're using fear tactics. They're using the same kind of speech modalities that a pastor would at the front of a church, and they're bringing organized religion into it a lot, Christianity a lot, and it's this, you know, it's this crucifixion story, it's this, you know, submission story of where the martyr, you know, it really is. So you have to be ready for that, in that there's some of the feedback that we will all be getting, for those that do choose the path of exploration of self, for those who take the hint of, okay, so these people who have coveted and hidden our knowledge, all knowledge that they can possibly covet and hide, if they find it super important to break particles, collide particles together in order, because they know that that can bend space and time when done at a certain force for a certain period of time, then take the hint. There's something in it. And that means there's something in you that can also be explored and channeled through a tiny particle with such a force, with such an intent, that if we were all doing that in mass numbers, what could we shift? What kind of timeline jumps could we leap through? Quantum leap comes to mind. It feels like we're going to see a lot of these algorithmic time travelers moving through time. And I do feel that this CERN project and the hidden project underneath CERN is part of that, algorithmically sending people through space and time at precise moments. What makes that possible? Data. Because if you're time traveling and that is done with intent, and you're coming to do a certain mission for good or bad, mostly bad right now, if you're doing that, then you need the data of that current time. We've been in a time of giving over data freely, and excess speed, at a rapid speed. And yes, that could have been used for so much good. And yes, for things like this, for loneliness cures, for so much, it can be used with such good intent, this data sharing. But this data harvesting has been intense in the background, and partly because of time travel. If they've got data of a certain precise time where they can have like a walk-in experience. They can walk into somebody else's physical being, take over that life. That there are a lot of people in the spiritual community that I've found to be, a few of them, genuine regarding the walk-in experience of when their body, the body that they are in now, was near death. They know that they walked into it as a completely different being. And it's been quite a complicated journey for them to sort of balance that out. Now, data has helped that a lot. There are photographs, there's a digital fingerprint, a digital timeline of all that you've been. And the kind of person that you've been, what your insights have been, what your interests have been. So it really does make it much easier for time travelers to algorithmically and precisely pinpoint a time when somebody died or somebody was about to die, to create this walk-in experience. What does that do? One, it doesn't waste a good body. It doesn't waste a good biological meat suit. Two, it goes under the radar a lot more. Only the people that are closest to the old person that was in that body would notice maybe a few things, but let's face it, how many of them are going to say, that's because somebody's walked into you? Where's my husband? Where's my wife? As if, not many. And so people might just get freaked out by a certain change in personality or change in tastes, but never question further than that as to why. So yeah, that's happening. Yeah, the self-examination is so important going forward. In what is coming, and it is so easy to write that off and say, no, I'm going to be one of these loud ones, these virtue signalers, you know. I'm going to be like externalizing all my energetic shit, you know, and I'm going to look powerful doing it because look, I'm loud, I'm brash, I'm being the one that's externalizing it, and I'm putting these waves out there without intent, or with negative intent, or with intent of I know not what I do, because I don't know the risk factors of what I'm putting out there energetically as to what's going to come back to me or how it's going to affect others. And really, you could see that how tempting that is for a lot of people to feel like they're doing the right things. We've been conditioned so much to externalize, 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 externalize. So it's very easy to be convinced or feel like overthink it too much and feel like working on myself isn't going to do anything. But like a pebble being like skimmed over a river, you know, it creates, it jumps, it skips. It, if you get good at it, it touches base. You know, you count how many times you can get it to touch base with the water, and literally water hop, you know, and the one that can do that the furthest wins. But you see all of these ripples just by those tiny touches of this stone, because of the velocity that it's picked up, the angle that it's been thrown, and it goes into a spin. A good like pebble tosser, let's call them, they get a good spin on it, don't they? They get a good wrist action on it, so it's sort of it's twirling. And that's how it doesn't go in the water, because it's sort of sideways twirling and just pops top on the top of the water. But the ripple effect is huge by one pebble. So you doing this self-exploration at this time when everything is going to be trying over the next 3 years to pull things out of you, to externalize your feelings, you know, externalize your emotional baggage, externalize everything that they can possibly pull out of you to distract you from the very dark matter that you have got access to exploring, this inner self. It's going to be so tempting, and it's going to feel a lot easier for a lot of people to go that way. But the most important thing we can do is go within, because we will be like those pebbles in the water. That ripple effect will affect the people around you. It's like when you do auric cleansing and auric energy builds, where you can tell by the way people respond to you afterwards that, oh yeah, that one really worked, because they're already feeling your electromagnetic field, your aura, before you even enter the room. And if you've been sort of building your aura for a presence of boldness, for a presence of confidence, you can really feel the different reactions you get from people that you know would have usually had a very different reaction to you. You walk in and you get the respect for the confidence that you're holding. And that is happening before you even enter the room, when you've successfully built your aura for that day or for that meeting, for that event. And so that really is the ripple effect of your pebble skimming across the water, touching at certain points, touching people's lives, having an effect on them, maybe just giving them a trigger point to think and hopefully go within. It's that importance. And so when you're everything over the next 3 years is pulling out of you what they want to pull out of you, just externalize, shout the loudest. And yes, a lot of these trigger points, they're things that we do have to take action on, but be very careful how you take that action. The brash standing at the front, making threats and, like, I'm mean, I'm going to say this, and that's just yawn, because you're helping the agendas. You really are helping them trigger people into externalizing in the distractionary realms that they're building for people, so that they ignore the very thing, the dark matter that is being explored by the likes of CERN and projects hidden under that. It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense as to how many people are going to be fooled by this externalization. Hey, hey DJ. Hey, I haven't heard from you for ages. I'll have to catch up. I haven't been on here for ages, to be fair. You've got to have a good flat pebble. So what could we say that there's a sort of, so flat pebble, it's smooth, isn't it? But it's got an expanse, it's got a width, it's got a breadth to it. But it's also thin on the side, a good skimming pebble. I know this because I tried to beat my cousins many a time and failed, because they always have bigger hands and bigger arms and wrists. So to be smooth, but to be slim, that does cut through the ether, doesn't it, above the water? And it also does, it doesn't make an impact. It's not a cone, it doesn't drill down, it's willing to skim along. So yeah, that's the best I can come up with, but that's good. Hey, Red Honey, much love to you, my honey. Nice rounded edges, yeah, not too many corners, circles are good in the next 3 years. Circles are good, corners are to be avoided, I feel. Go in there just to scoop the hidden out and you get out again. Listen to Thoth. So yeah, let's pull some cards on CERN and what to expect. Now I do feel, I have got to say, and it has been increasing, if you've been taking note over the last 5 days, you'll have heard of shootings, stabbings in the UK and abroad, shootings, stabbings, sexual assaults, weird, random, seemingly random acts of violence. You'll have noticed more dog attacks on certain breeds, from certain breeds. You'll have noticed a lot of people either being super chill, but for the most part, you'll have noticed more the people who are real triggered into road rage, trolley rage, and that is going to increase, unfortunately, I feel, very much so. And so I do feel it is a warning to be careful. Now, they have been building up this misogyny thing, particularly in this truth movement. Misogyny has really taken hold, and certain beings within that movement are really pumping the misogynistic vibe, and it's working. They're the loud fanatics in the room, like we've got loud fanatics in every distractionary psyop and augmentation of reality psyop that going. We've got those people that are planted there, either through their own rights of wanting to just skim money off things. They're good scammers, they're good cults leaders, or whether they're actually planted, they're there. So they're going to be triggering a lot of these reactions also. I do see an attack on a parliamentarian. If you remember, not long ago, there was an attack in the UK where a poor parliamentarian, MP, got stabbed to death. And it turns out, actually, for the most part, people were reporting that he actually did his job, that actually throughout COVID, he made sure that he still continued to go to the hall to do his weekly, roundup with his community to offer help and aid and advice to them with his team there. And he was actually speaking out about a lot of the environmental things, and he was a true environmentalist, it would seem. But a true environmentalist obviously isn't triggered into the kind of environmental fear factor that they've been building into people for so long, so that can be taken 25% on top of your energy bills and whatnot, to pay for this green levy. So it feels like he was speaking out a lot about that also. So he was easy to get rid of and create this fear and need for distance between the public and politicians. Why? For things like this. So the 369, for those that people have just come in, the 369 is very prominent. The sixes that a lot of people were jumping on saying, 666, Satanism, faint. It's like, no, there's more to it than that. It represents the Tesla's theory of 369. With if you know the magic of 369, you know the key to the universe. You have the keys to the door, so to speak. And that correlating with Van Leepe's whole theory of the dark woman manifest, where all creation can be pulled from a dark woman manifest, because all possibilities lay there. So for those that have just come in, that's been spoken about. Hey Tracy, hey Dick. Your ex called you to make up, Autumn. Pull a card on that. Funny enough, that kind of happened with me. Very weird situation. Yeah, poor MP, because actually, some of them, I feel some of them are at MP level. And I grew up with a lot of them being around my granddad, trying to get him to be an MP, and he would never accept. Some of them, very few, don't get me wrong, the ones that get into Parliament, I think for the most part, a few weeks in and they're done. They've got something on them. They're deliberately chosen to be there because they're you know, able to be controlled or manipulated or what. But there are some MPs that go into the job genuinely to build something for their communities, and it did seem like he was doing that, and he didn't seem to bow down to the rules Boris was setting out as to lockdown and not meeting up with people in large groups. He continued to hold his clinic, I think they call them, on a weekly basis. And so, yeah, it's funny how they sacrificed him. Oh, Tracy, a lot of people have really been suffering energetically, and a lot of past history has been sort of getting churned up for people. I'm sorry you're in a bad place. Feel free to share in the chat if you feel like it. I know the people here are awesome, and I'm happy to be here for you too. But I know the people we've got around us in the chat here would be more than happy to hear where you've been having difficulties. You one of us? You one of us? Yeah, Autumn. Yeah, he worked for the system, but a lot of nurses do, a lot of doctors do, a lot of teachers do, who at the same time are fighting the system within the system that I have personal contact with. So yeah, they can't change. And right now, over the next 3 years, Autumn, it's very important, I feel, for you that you do not enter into that again, because we talked about it a bit earlier. I don't know when you came into the video. For those that have that kind of energy within them, it really feels over the next 3 years there's going to be very directed things through memes, through this energetic field being manipulated, through movies, through certain scripts that politicians are saying, or repetitive spells that are put out on the news. It really does feel like those that have the very thing that these people are trying to trigger within them, it will be triggered and be triggered violently. And I do feel a lot of misogyny and a lot of narcissism extreme narcissism is going to be triggered in many people. And it really has been, when we're talking about timeline shifts and dimensional pulls and shifts popping in and out of different dimensions because of the manipulation that is going on, you can imagine why a lot of people are getting revisits from the past that you thought were dead and gone, you know, that wouldn't ever come up again. And they sort of come up again and come up as a cycle. And some people can mistake that as a sign, you know, of, oh, this must be meant to be. And again, that's part of the mind fuckery that goes on in these relationships. So not to fall for that and not to fall into that is really, and you know, as an empath, an adept empath, which I feel you are, it is difficult because although you can absolutely have disdain for their actions, you can have insider knowledge, quite literally, because you're feeling it, of the chained up being that is within their dark matter, within themselves, within the spaces that they daren't look at, the spaces that they're terrified to look at, that they've been abused in, or that they've been corrupted in, through childhood, through certain things that have happened to them. And so as an empath, it is difficult, but you must maintain your adepthood in the knowledge of you can never fix that for anyone else. Only that person can fix that for that person. We can only ever be a guide, a support, but never a crutch. Once you've already been a crutch to somebody, it's very difficult to re-enter into that dance with them and keep those re-established boundaries up. And half of the time it's a trick because they're not quite ready to face it themselves, but they may be triggered right now and feeling that fear of loneliness and that fear of being responsible for self and feeling this electromagnetic field shift around them. And so they're reaching out for the last safe space that they actually felt the safest in, that being you. And yeah, I really would appeal to you to stay strong, no contact, you know, and feel no guilt regarding that at all. Tracy, my brother passed last Thursday and my mother was picked up for dementia. Oh, 8 cats to adopt and 4 dogs. House in foreclosure. I'm left here dealing, completely abandoned by family and family friends. Okay. So I'm really sorry about the passing of your brother. Where are you located, Tracy? Whereabouts in the world are you located? Missy, be awakened. Have you had a lot of shootings? Missy is saying, yeah, the violence has been increasing, like random acts of violence has been increasing here to Missy a lot. And I'm not doom and gloom, but I've got to say what I feel and what I see it getting a lot worse before it can get better. And that's where Peter earlier in the chat was talking about anger isn't necessarily a bad emotion, as long as, like any emotion that we have, it is channeled with the right intent and directed at the right force. And I do feel like there has to be a lot of that righteous anger within our own communities to protect the most vulnerable in our communities, because these people are getting triggered like little bombs going off, energetic bombs, you know, just. And there are a lot of people in the so-called truth movements around the world that have been completely hijacked, you know, being venomously triggered towards their very own people, the people they say they stand shoulder to shoulder with. I feel that coming on a lot here too. Good on you, Peter, standing up for the lady outside your window. Yeah, Joy, you're feeling it. You're feeling that, you knew at the start of the relationship, as I did. You knew, you got the warning signs at the start of that relationship, as I did. You actually sometimes would tell yourself, this ain't a good idea, this isn't great, this isn't really isn't what it should be. And something within us, some healing that needed to be within us maybe, or some conditioning that was within us that would accept that type of behavior, some learned behavior that we'd had as children ourselves. Something within us was allowing it to go forward, even when the higher consciousness was saying, not great, no, not good. Now, it's great when you can come out of that and draw all of the lessons from it, because I've looked back at the narcissistic journey I went through and utilized it a lot in the spiritual coaching that I do, in my own self-exploration, in the lessons I could draw from it regarding understanding that energy in its extreme, understanding how we react to that energy in their extremes. And so your gut knew at the start of that relationship, I feel intuitively, that there was a lot of things wrong with it. So your gut was right, but something overrode your gut then. And so I really want you to engage the gut, but also engage the higher consciousness too, so that you really are, but do it like a bookcase. You know, you've got your root chakra, you've got this solar plexus area, and you've got this lotus flower area here. And so if you imagine, just like the energetic field that they're manipulating right now, we have that the phi, you know, goes up, out, in, up, out, in, up, out, continuously. And so engage the root, like what was within me the first time round that really rooted me into the mentality that that's what I was worth, or that's what I was able to draw in, or that's what I deserved. What warning signs did my gut give me? What was here in the heart area that overrode all of those things in between? That overrode those things that were telling me this isn't right. So that's where you want to look at it, the heart chakra area, I feel, in order to really stay firm and strong in your decision to, you don't need to go back. You can keep mining the lessons without ever having to return to that unsafe space. You've done the time, you've got the t-shirt, and you've got all of the dark corners of self to explore from it now. You don't need to get any more matter to explore from that experience. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I feel that we can't actually, like, you're right, I can deliver healing, I do that well, I can force my energy into their particles, into their space. If they're not accepting of it, that energy, you can feel it coming right back at you, and you've got to be real careful, because you can feel it coming back, it distorted too. If you try and push that healing on the wrong person. That's why healing in churches is so powerful, because those people are open to it, primed for it, they're ready, they've sang, they've done the breath work through the singing, and then that's when they get people to lay hands on each other after all the breath work of singing, after all of the lifting of the energies in the room, so the energy is like buoyant. And then they get you as a kid to lay hands on people, and you can feel that energy, and you can feel it very strongly. And yes, there are a lot in there using it for negative intent. For the most part, though, people laying hands on people in churches, in the congregation, are doing it for pretty pure intent, in that there's true healings. I've witnessed them. Because people are open to it and accepting to it. It's a two-way street. And if the receptor isn't there for that energy, just like an electrical current going through a wire, if there isn't a receptor for you that you plug that plug into, and wires on the other side to receive that energy and channel it to wherever it needs to go, then it would just bounce back into the fuse area. It would, and it blow the fuse. You gave the t-shirts back. Well, I hope you put something red in the wash before you did, so that they came out a real nice tainted pinkish. So just so they knew that there were the t-shirts you got given and you don't even want them, don't even need them. Hey, Varian Redbeard, I love that name, Varian Redbeard. Shannon, the wise April Fool, my love. That's why you seek oracles like moi. Yeah, thanks, Varian Redbeard. So as far as what we need to be looking at, remember, they're going to be running this for the next 3 years. They are using very much so the 369 theory, and they're building upon that when they get into the realm of the 9, which is why they have the 6s on the logo, because all of that can be multiplied, the 3 and the 6 and the 9, into the 18, which then makes 9, which is the realm of all possibilities, that Manly P. Hall quoted as the Dark Woman Manifest. This is where they get to take apart creative particles, so they can know how those creative particles are built. so they can know how to manipulate. It also puts out an energetic magnet, an energetic field, electromagnetic field that is manipulated in order to draw back data in real time in a biochemical way from real bodies, from real physical walking, talking humans, hence the special infusion. This is just one of the data feedbacks and data mining trips that they will be doing over the next 3 years regarding this, which is why there are new contracts for billions of pounds to be spent on PCR tests for the next 3 years. Why? Because, you know, they're going to try that old chestnut again. Now you might sit there and say, Jenny, nobody will fall for that again. And I'll say to you, come on, open your eyes. Seriously. So the first few cards that have come out is 3. Ta-da! That this is the basis of everything that is going on. You can see with this card, it's the 3 of Hearts. It's like, oh, hurts. And there is a whole world of hurt being opened up by this. And I just want to say on the bottom of the deck is the major arcana, the number 5, which is, you know, they're doing this on the 5th of July. They're doing this for the 3 years, they say, thus far. And they are doing it to 3 times the value that they have ever done it before. And they're going to try and ramp it up over the next 3 years to 9 times the value of what they've ever collided particles at before. So they say. And so the 5, the Hierophant, this speaks of hidden knowledge. So you see the Hierophant here is sitting on his throne, and he has here on this side his finger up to the above, and he has his feet firmly planted in front in white shoes on the ground, and both of them are visible, which is rare in the tarot. A lot of the kings and queens and other major arcanas have 1 foot hidden, and so this is where, as above so below, but this is the Hierophant is the channel of the hidden knowledge, and he is the you see how the sort of the monks here, I think you would call them, they've got that weird shaved head, you know, like old England, they had it a lot, the ones that were serving the church, and they did that, though it looked completely silly at any age you were living at, they did that because it represented the fact that they would be touched there. And when they were listening to the likes of the Hierophant, which is the Pope, they would be having their heads bowed and accepting this knowledge, you know, given from the conduit, the conduit of knowledge. And so this is where the knowledge is there for those that seek it, but it really is only for those who have the eyes to see and ears to hear. Please, over the next 3 years and beyond, do not waste an ounce, a particle of energy trying to cast your pearls before swine, because they'll trod on them, they'll try and chew them up, and then they'll spit them back at you like a potato gun, because they can't accept what you're telling them. They're not ready for it. They don't want it. Don't give it to them, because they'll only throw it back at you in a distorted and manipulative way. Really concentrate on those that do have the eyes to see and ears to hear and are humble enough to seek the knowledge that you have got to bestow upon them. It really is sacrilege at this point to continue banging your head against energetic walls, trying to convince people of what you know. At that point, I would start questioning self as to why it matters to you so much. At what point have you stopped exploring self enough that it really triggers you enough that you even bothered that these people won't accept the knowledge? And yes, it can be frustrating, of course, but let that frustration transmute real quick. Don't let it be yours. Don't let it sit with you, because it doesn't have to be yours to own. Be strong in the force of transmutation. Be quick with the force of transmutation, and do not be quick to share too much knowledge with the wrong people. because even if you really feel that, well, they're in the movement, you know, they think the same as me. A lot of people are in there for ego, they're in there for fear, and you put in certain knowledge on them could come back to burn you, or you will be highlighted as a heretic, as a witch, as a someone to be afraid of. And all this organized religious rhetoric, even though they're supposed to be in a space of freedom and sovereignty, will start getting pummeled at you. And many things are like that. So really keep your knowledge to those who have the eyes to see and ears to hear and are willing to bow their head and listen. And you know, they don't even have to accept what you say, but if they're humble enough to listen and take it on board and weigh it against what they know, then that is good enough. But don't be pushing that knowledge, that because you're basically pushing knowledge on people without using your wisdom. Engage the wisdom pedal when you're releasing any kind of knowledge outside of self. Engage where you the release valve and the direction of where you're going to put that knowledge. Do that with wisdom, and always for those who are accepting of it and humble enough to listen. That's going to be very important or potent, both. This pain, the separation that we felt about 3 years ago, ironically, the separation that we felt about 3 years ago in the real valleys opening up, caverns opening up between levels of consciousness, levels of awareness. People are always living in different realities of their own making, but then there's layers of realities, isn't there, within any one dimension, of like people who have the same taste or the same interests or the same mindsets. There's those realities are very much built within the same dimension. So there are many realities existing within one dimension at any given time anyway, but a lot of us felt that about 3 years ago the separation was vast, and it was very clear for anybody to feel and see, again with eyes to see, ears to hear, energetic little neurons to feel. And it was very apparent. That is going to become even more apparent, because for those that take on board the message that the very people, the billionaires funding this project that is going on, are putting out there, for those that can take that on board for themselves and say, anything you can do, I can do better. By doing this self-exploration and using the next 3 years to say, okay, you're going to make energetic waves. I'm going to utilize some of those energetic waves to open some doors within myself, to open some portals within myself, to pull some fractals of myself from other dimensions and concentrate them in a force here in this dimension directed right at you. And so that's how you would channel your inner beam. And so the strength and power in doing that is completely possible, but it's going to take some pain, in that, you know, certain things are going to try and come and hurt you. When you're doing that, you're going to attract certain attentions of people around you, certain things that you're going to have to release finally once and for all before you start opening up those portals and doors within self to pull fractals of self in self. Then, you know, there are certain things that are going to have to be released that you've maybe been holding on to for quite some time. And so it feels like cutting off a limb. It's a pain in the heart. We feel it. It's a physical pain. Anybody who's been in love or been manipulated to think they're in love, and they've been left bereft, they've been lost, you know, they've been given up on, or they've been broken up with, you feel that pain, and that pain is very physical. When I lost my son Ethan, the pain in the heart area, as soon as I say it, the pain in the heart area was, it felt, I could feel my chest. a tightening. I could feel the muscles reacting to this energetic pain that I was feeling, particularly in this area and obviously the womb area. And it was just as real as any pain that would be caused by somebody cutting off a limb. And so there is this power in the consciousness and in the energetic field that affects the physical body and vice versa. So another thing a lot of us will be getting are a lot of health warnings in that, and take them as the red flags that they should be, not to put fear into you, but to say, okay, I'm going to get real good on this holistic journey, and whatever other journey I need to incorporate to be the healthiest and strongest I can be, not just spiritually, not just emotionally, but physically also, in order to be able to even harness this type of force within myself, and to even be able to beam this energy out within myself with intent, which takes a lot of strength, a lot of health, and a wealth of knowledge to how to apply that. So any red flags that you're getting, take them as a gift of like, thanks for giving me the heads up, but act on them, and act on them quick. A lot of heart health, and aspirin a day won't do a lot of people any harm at all. That will really protect from physical blood clots, and there are a lot of those that are going to increase over the next 3 years, mostly because of a special infusion, but for other things that are happening in this programmed reality that we're living in, via foods, etc., and this electromagnetic field manipulation, I feel, is going to bring up that issue again of sticky blood. I know people have spoken about 5G a lot, and I know it is a real concern, but actually for the most part, when you're looking at the likes of projects like CERN, it's a little bit laughable that we've been speaking quite so much on 5G when China's already past 6G. And it's this kind of energy where they're colliding particles that we maybe should have been talking about a lot more. And so again, this is where this distractionary externalization of everything and the loud brashness of that all can really misdirect and allow them to get on in the background relatively unscathed, relatively, without any bluster. They can just crack on in their dark rooms, behind the scenes. And so this is where we really do need to be focused on what not to get distracted by, and for the most part, take those red flags as hints and act on them there and then to be strong. And a lot of this sticky blood syndrome, I feel, is far more explained by us moving and warping through time and space as we know it, than a lot of the Wi-Fi issues. Although I don't deny that Wi-Fi has some issues. Of course it does. We can measure that. We can measure the increase in certain places that have very strong frequencies running through them in that way. So yeah, we're sipping Susie Q, my sister, Susie Q, we love you. There she is, beautiful lady. How can we believe anything at this point? You can't, because a lot of it is an illusion. And yeah, the Maxwell list would be interesting. I bet you a lot of them are still alive today. Don't you reckon, Redbeard? On that list. A lot of them I feel are not dearly departed on that list at all. Sri Ramana Mashari teachings. I'll look that up, beloved. Thank you, Ballet Bran. Is that right, Ballet Bran? Charlie, hello. Hello, Queen. Hello, my love. Good to see you too. I know it's been long. My sister, Susie Q. So the data mining, we went over a lot. The data mining, remember, the data that they will be extracting, and I can feel that there's the excitement around this data extraction happening right now from people's bodies in real time, people's bodies who are aligned with certain things in particular. Their experimentation right now, they're seeing if their money paid off. Right now, they're seeing if their investment paid off. Now, remember, this has been the biggest financial up-pay by the little shenanigans and financial little dances and switcheroos that actually it hasn't cost them anything at all. They've just redirected funds and pledged funds. Remember in the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial thing, you heard a lot of the pledging word. You should have took note of that, because these words of pledging to each other while just getting all of us to pay for it in misappropriated, misdirected funds and taxes and all of these other things is basically how billionaires don't pay for anything. Everything's on credit, everything. And so that is happening. This data mining in real time, this biochemical feedback is very exciting to them. And right now, over the next 5 days or so, it's going to be very exciting for them, and a very full of anticipation time as to just how much data they get back in real time. They're looking also, I feel, and this is just an intuitive feeling, to see what data they get back from the dead, you know, of the bodies that still remain here, to see how live that data can be. Again, I feel this is another way, another exploration and another experiment that later down the line we'll probably have leaked paperwork of they want to be able to explore that. Can they actually implant matter, dark matter, or things that react with dark matter into a body, and after it passes, can they pierce through the veil via that substance that is put within the body? Can they actually activate that and project that data into drawing from the conscious field that that person has transitioned into? Sounds like a lot, but I know I feel very, very strongly that it is a direction that they are looking at. How can they do that pebble hop, that piggyback into other dimensions beyond death? That's another interesting field they'll definitely be looking at. I really do feel. For Assange, yes, that would be amazing. I don't care whether you like the man or not. It would be very important, and it would be a very big win if he got freed. But again, I feel I wouldn't want to sacrifice any human that way. But as far as the greater plan goes, that man's psyche is done. They've broken him monotonously for so long now, that they've really spun out that man's chakras. They've really, you know, so I think I really do feel freeing from a point of view of, I feel like he's been robbed of his life, and I feel like he's been robbed. It's very much like the person who is affected by the violent partner. That violent partner can do this like silent dog whistle thing, where you know you're in trouble when you get home, but everybody else in the room doesn't. Everybody else in the room might look at you as if to say, why have you stiffened up all of a sudden? Or why do you want to go home all of a sudden? Or why, you know, why did you stop talking to me just then? It's because you've been the recipient of a dog whistle that only you can hear. And I feel like a lot of the people that would be connected to him, that could share the information that very much needs to be shared, have already been either bought or put into such a position of fear, because they've witnessed in real time the governments between the UK government and the American government, and was it the Swedish government, between the three of them in real time, we've witnessed that dog whistling going on, while for the most part the world stays silent. Yes, there's a huge majority saying exactly what we're saying, but for the most part the world stays silent, and so that silent dog whistle at the party has been happening, and that's terrifying. That's even more terrifying than you being locked away and just disappeared and never heard of, but to be doing it on the grand stage with such glory, you know, it's for them to literally be saying, you know, he has to come here, or, you know, he has to do this, when actually no charges have been brought against him ever, because the trumped up charges with the women were, they don't want anything to do with it now, got too big. And so that dog whistle has been a very powerful dog whistle in any kind of shreds of journalistic integrity that may have been left in the very few journalists that may still have had a backbone and a will to do their job properly. They've done a very good job regarding that agenda, I feel, through Assange. So I think, yeah, free him because it was the right thing to do, but we can't rely on that broken man. We can't put anything else on his shoulders, really, as a world, as a group of people. Because as a group of people, have we done enough where we've been witnessing that silent, cruel dog whistle to all who know and love him, that can hear that dog whistle and think, how can everybody else not hear that deafening sound of cruelty? You know, can we expect anything of more of one man who's already spoken out a lot and given us the breadcrumbs to continue? People still cheered for Trump, people still cheered for Boris, people still cheered for other past presidents and parliamentarians that, you know, he gave up that information on. Very cruel. So I think free him because it's the right thing to do, but we can't expect him to be any kind of savior at all. Free Eric too, Susie, as well, and I think a similar thing with that situation of, just because it's the right thing to do now, not because we have, you know, any kind of we deserve or anything from them for fighting for that freedom for them, but just because you want to give those people a chance to live their life again, free from harm. Something's just moved very freakily in the room there. Free from harm and free from the terror and distress that they've been caused and that has been caused for their loved ones around them. Assange at first, and then Eric. Beloved is good at explaining the background for that, Charlie. If I say too much, believe it or not, on this platform, everybody in the chat who knows anything about it will tell you, you can get stricken for that, you know, from YouTube. The construct that I spoke about a long time ago of them limiting the expansion of reality that we could create through our words, that's been very strong and very powerful through these types of platforms. Though I'm grateful that they're here, that I can reach out to people, we do have to be careful. There, Beloved's put something in the chat there for you, Charlie. 1 second, people. Right, okay. I'm gonna come back on tomorrow because I need to go and discipline some boys that have been woken up by a cat, and now there's some crying. So better believe there's no pocket money this Friday. Let me pick up on this quickly. What happened? Okay, you'll be punished. Come here. Come here. You'll be punished because Mummy said not to. Come here for 1 second while we finish this off. You were in a lovely sleep as well. So we've got the 3 of Swords. We've got the Hierophant. So the hidden knowledge for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. You're all right. The 3 of Swords, there's going to be a whole heap of pain. But, you know, for those that learn how to transmute it, there is no, we've been conditioned a lot that pain has to last. It has to stay there. We'll have to keep revisiting it. But no, there is ways of transmuting it quickly, feeling those daggers, yes, but using them as the red flags to hone in and craft our consciousness with a force and energy that is to be reckoned with, rather than be in fear of. We've got the 7 of Swords. It feels like there's going to be a lot of, you know, in a movie where, picture this, right? A script where you get zoomed into a time and space and a reality where you're wearing the modern clothes that you're wearing now, or just the present clothes that you're wearing now. And all of a sudden you can imagine if I got sort of zapped back to the 1800s, I mean, what I'm wearing now, people will be looking at and saying, what kind of alien do we have here? You know, and when a lot of people are going to be psyoped into a very sleepy stupor over the next 3 years, locked into a matrix of guilt and fear, the people who aren't locked into that with the 7 of Wands, you're going to stand out. You're going to gain a lot of attention, some good, some you would rather not have. And there is going to be a need to navigate that path, to take that higher ground and be very strategic about your moves and the way that you, where you spend your time and how you spend your time with people. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. And with this really is, we are going to be moving through space and time very rapidly. This extra territory that they are exploring, this warp speed that we're going to be hearing more of, the Trump resurgence sort of, you know, brewing over the next 3 years, you know, the Mandela effects that we are going to feel, which is why I keep saying to people, write everything down. Everything that you feel an urge to remember or write down, a moment in time, an experience, a conversation with somebody, write down, because you're going to need to recall, and you're going to be questioning yourself as to whether you've remembered that correctly and whether you have made that up, or whether it really happened, or whether it was just in your imagination all along. So having that written down will be super powerful for you to utilize and use. Your Wheel of Fortune, remember, for you to go within during these next 3 years and really delve deep, and for us all to get really serious about the exploration of self and the data mining of self, what they are doing for harm and what they are doing for control, you can do 1 second, baby, you can do for, you can use for good too, because if they're doing it, it's worthwhile doing for the most part. It's just worthwhile doing it with very different intent. And so the self-exploration of your dark matter, of your dark corners, will be very powerful during this time. Why? Because they're going to be ramping up the electromagnetic field around you in order to make it possible for them to do it. So you know damn well it's going to be easier for the most part for you to do it if we can hone in on that and get really skilled at doing so. So skimming that pebble, being that ripple effect in your own personal life, that is what will change your wheel of fortune, your destiny of fate. Your destiny and mix of fate and fortune. It's a mix of the two. And so you turning that wheel is very important and very, very, it can be used for very positive changes, not just for yourself, but for the collective on a wider scale. But for the most part, your main reasoning for doing so should be self-exploration. That is your saving grace. So I'm going to revisit this tomorrow because I need to sort out certain boys, because a cat decided to get in a fight and wake everybody up. And you've heard me having to do mummy intermissions, as Peter said, how many times now? So I'm going to go and sort them out. You better know there'll be some discipline up in this space, and because there's been some shenanigans in the background, and yeah, children. Oh, Charlie, I know, sweet pea. I need my child. I wonder who holds him when he cries. I know, and I know your situation. I've never forgotten your situation. You know, it touched my heart very much so. So when I come on tomorrow, please pop in. And yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow too, beloved, because certain boys will be away somewhere and mummy will be free to talk. I love you too, Susie Q. I know I need to get on every day again, beloved. I really do. But I am working hard in the background to build things that are going to sustain us. So I've had to sort of balance it out. Oh, much love to you, Red Honey. Thank you, Susie Q. I did try and set up restream so I would go out on all of the platforms, but it didn't work. So I'm just here. I made a right mess of it. It's the start, Susie. So Charlie, reach out tomorrow. Let us be with you tomorrow. Let us be in connection with you and in support of you. I know Susie will be thinking of you. I know Michael Musgrave's up in here, that beautiful pair of people, Red Honey, everybody in this chat room, you know, will hold space and time for you. So feel free to please pop in tomorrow in the chat to get that support that you much deserve, and let us pull some cards for you to give you some insight to what you wonder about your child. Mummy has free time, surely not. Never let it be said, says Redbeard. Yeah, it's a juggling act for sure. It's like got arms like a wrestler, it's juggling all the time. I'll be good. I'll be good. Oh, thank you, Fran. Thank you. Somebody says I'm a great mother. Do you agree?
No.
Oh, you cheeky monkey.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. I know you are. So thank you so much. I'm going to go probably to bed now with these two to keep them. I'll be in the middle, keep them separate, might be. Well, you won't get in my bed anymore, but this one will. So I'm probably going to go to bed now, and I'll see you tomorrow. Smash the like button, even though this whole video was smashed by certain little ones. Smash that like button because it does help the algorithmic gods, and they do love a little bit of feedback that way. They do respond to it. So thank you, James. Double thumbs up to you. We do that special goodnight kiss with a double thumbs up, don't we? Like James is doing, like that. So thank you. Oh, thank you. There she is. Look, can you see? Says Musgrave and Griffin and Susie Q. We've missed everyone, haven't we? You rock, my friend. Soul Tribe and the family. Yes. Much love to everybody. Beloved, love you, my dear. Shante, Shante, Shante. To you. Sachit Ananda, it says beloved.
Amen.
So let's go. I'm gonna no, you rock, Redbeard. Come on, say it to me again. I'll say, no, you rock. I'll make you a little voice clip you can have on your phone. I'll just say, you rock. No, you rock. We all freaking rock. Don't we rock?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
You're probably gonna think I was gonna say no again.
I probably did think of that. So say night night to Susie Q, Aunt Susie. Look, she says, favor to you all. Love you, Theo, she says. Even though secretly Aunt Susie is saying if I was over there, I'd be like super nanny right now, telling those boys to get to bed and go to sleep and wake in the morning. Wouldn't you, Susie? I know you're Aunt Susie, and I know that's what you'd be saying. I do. Should be having the wooden spoon saying, right, who wants me to use these on eggs in the morning? Or who wants me to wrap them on the bedpost? No, she wouldn't really, but yes, she would. We wish Aunt Susie was here, don't we? Love you, Susie. Okay, sweet dreams. Leave notes in the comment section. Please don't share this one, but smash the like button. Share tomorrow's. We'll make tomorrow's professional and smooth. You know, when the boys are busy. I'm not that desperate for followers that don't share this one. It's probably good it didn't go out on the other platforms. There she says, night night, Theo. I know that that's a little hint to say night night, Theo. Do as mommy says. Okay, then say good night.
Good night.
Good boy. Love you all. Much love, balance, and wholeness. Night night. Press the end.